What are the important changes for STALKER Gamma, the update 0.9.4? As usual, I got your back. If you don't have the time to watch this whole video, then these are my notes that I kinda did, as you can see right here, right? So you can pause the video and just to read through them. They are kind of just like bullet points, right? To help me kind of stay on track on the video. But if you played Gamma and you know these mods, then you probably know what this stuff means, so you can save yourself a little bit of time if you don't have the time to watch the video, alright? But as usual, you know, if you're gonna do that, at least like the video, or if you're watching this and you're not subscribed, like a lot of people, please do subscribe. It really does help out the channel, and like I would really appreciate that. Alright, so the first thing is the task quality of life by Serious. If you go into the game, this is my highlight by the way, and we put out the PDA, they actually added my previous button to the task board now. So if you miss a task, you can just go back, which is pretty good. Like, I'm actually glad they actually added it into the pack, which is awesome, and it's now in Gamma. And a lot of people are liking it, so yeah, I'm really grateful for that. And also in the pack there is the Northern job and the job can wait, so pretty much NPCs will wait for you to actually finish the main quests that unlock the North, right, for them to start giving you missions in the North. And when you are in the North, they will not give you southern jobs anymore, like really southern jobs that you don't need anymore. They will not give you those anymore, which is pretty good, right? It's a really good quality of life in my opinion, right? Now the next thing is the new player experience by Strangerism, right? It's pretty much a tutorial framework. Like when something happens for the first time, it will teach a new player that thing that just happened, right? For example, you pick up your first weapon, you pick up your first broken armor, you heal yourself for the first time, you equip your first detector, it will teach you about like artifacts and all that. And I don't know, like you discover a place for the first time, you enter your vehicle for the first time, it will teach you about vehicles and all that. So it is a pretty good way, a pretty good progressive way to kind of like onboard new players into like the Gamma system, which is pretty good in my opinion. I mean, the Gamma system is pretty complicated, especially if you are a new player, so it is a good start to actually like learn the game a little bit. As you can see, I'm kind of doing a Gamma new player guide as well, so keep an eye on that. Maybe this week or next week, right, if you are a new player, so that's gonna be helpful as well, hopefully, right? But yeah, that's pretty much it. Really good, especially for new players. All right, now the next thing is the FDDA Redone by Lizardman, which got finally included into the game. As you can see right here, if you go to the mod configuration, it pretty much adds like a really good immersive animations to the game without the bug of busy hand, which is awesome, right? As you can see, consumables animations, backpack, mutant scaling, pickup animations, NVGs, headgear, outfit animations, body search and stash search as well, right? Which is really cool. And the cool thing about it is that you can actually queue up animations without having it bugs or whatever, and you can queue up item usage as well, so you don't have to keep opening your backpack and closing it and opening it again, using, closing, right? It's really good. I'm really actually glad that they actually kind of like added this into the game, which is pretty good, right? So the next thing is the quick action wheel by Hakurasai, which is a pretty cool mod as well that I used for quite a while, right? As you can see right here, it actually kind of like simulates pockets, so you can use items without having to open your backpack, which is pretty good. It starts with one tab and it has 10 slots that you can assign. You can open the quick action wheel by holding F, right? And holding F is usually used to like look around for items. Now you don't have to do that anymore because holding F is replaced by the interaction dot marks by Catspaw, as you can see right here. So if you take a look in the game, it kind of like implemented a Stalker 2-ish kind of like UI to the game. As you can see, like there's now dots on items that you can interact with, and there's like a text and all that, and it actually shows you like the value, the weight of items, dots when you want to interact with like NPCs. The traders have like their own like kind of like icons, as you can see right there as well. It's really good accessibility, especially for new players, right? So the next thing is the Useful Idiots companion mod, right? As you can see right here, it is a pretty good mod. I have been using it, I mean, since it was out, right? Here's George Caesar, as you can see right here. here. Really cool guy, has been with me throughout this whole playthrough, which is pretty cool. And when you actually open up, it actually changes the color depending on your faction. I am duty, so it's kind of like red, as you can see right here. And it has a bunch of stuff that you can do now, which is like, for example, different styles of combat, right? You can attack enemies, defend enemies, stay near, stay far, so they don't annoy you. You can tell them to hurry up, heal the wounded, loot corpses. If there's a lot of corpses, gather items in the world. They go around and gather items as well. You can open their inventory from here, as you can see. He got a pretty kitted out loadout, right? I kind of like, gear up my companions because it's more immersive. And I have actually a mod that kind of like contributes to that. Like, you give them a backpack, they actually gain weight from it, right? Also the armor and also these items as well. They kind of gain that 15 kilogram bonus as well, which is pretty cool. I give them medicine, food, and items and all that, as you can see right here. It's not included in the mod, it's just something that I added on top, and it's really cool. And something cool about this mod as well is that you can actually tell them to use whatever guns they have in their inventory. For example, here they have a shotgun, they have my SVU, and they have their Ash-12, which is his main weapon that I gave him. You can tell him to use a specific weapon. For example, sniper, he will use the SVU, right? If you tell him to use a shotgun, he will use the this pass, as you can see right here. And the best is basically the Ash-12 that he has, right? Which is pretty cool, right? So it is a really, really good mod, and I'm really glad I actually implemented it into the game now, which is pretty cool. And speaking of companions as well, you can now individually recruit companions. So even if they are in a squad, you can tell them to leave their squad and join you instead. And it also works for the paid companions as well. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Now, the next thing is the item model drop after usage by Qt. Basically, really, really good immersive mod, as you can see right here. When you use an item, it actually drops it on the ground as a 3D model that you actually can interact with, which is pretty good. It's really immersive. Really glad I added that as well. Now, the next thing is the more needed parts for artifact crafting. Basically, artifact crafting has gotten a little bit harder and it's more challenging now, as you can see right here. You can pause the video if you want, but pretty much they kind of like doubled the mutant part requirements for some artifacts, especially like tier 4 and tier 3, right? So it's a little bit more challenging to craft them, and also they kind of increased the price of the tier 3, the second recipe, right? The second recipe went from 12,000 to 36,000 now, so it's way more expensive to buy the second recipe. And the third recipe, which unlocks the tier 4 artifacts, now you cannot buy it anymore from Jupiter. You cannot buy it anymore. You actually have to find it, just like you need to find the exoskeleton recipe to actually craft the repair kit for the exoskeletons. So, something also related to artifacts. Now, the artifacts spawn, the delay between the spawns is way faster now, so they will spawn way more frequently. The regular spawns are more frequent, like the regular anomaly fields spawns, and the dynamic spawns are less frequent. So the random anomalies in the world that kind of like have a chance to spawn artifacts, they are a little bit less frequent, okay? And something related to anomalies and artifacts is the anomalous fields bold fix by the dots, right? So as you can see, like there's the thermal and there's the chemical dot field for the anomaly, and as you can see right here, before and after, there's a huge difference. It was a little bit broken before, kind of like you have a almost maxed out resistance, like as you can see right here, chemical resistance is almost maxed out, and you can still die pretty quickly, right? And it damages your armor very quickly. However, now it takes almost like the double the time to actually do that, which is pretty good. It was based on FPS, I think. Now it has a set millisecond time window to deal damage apparently, so it's fixed, which is pretty good, right? Now, let's talk a little bit about the radiation. The radiation has been reworked to be a little bit more of like a slow build-up, like small dosage affect your stamina now. They still reduce your health, they damage your health, but not as much anymore. It's very slow, but they mostly damage your stamina first, and high doses of like radiation, obviously, they will still kill you very fast, so you just need to be careful as well, right? And something that I kind of fixed as well is the the double cough kind of like bug, where like you get unlucky and you cough twice in a row, and there's no more HP for you, right? It costs like half of your HP or something, which is pretty crazy, right? Now it's fixed. You can only cough once every 9 seconds, which is pretty balanced. So the radiation is pretty good now. It's a little bit more consistent, so that's really good, right? Now, the next thing is the defense item rebalance. They went from the 5%, 10%, 15% damage reduction to 4, 8, and 12. Apparently, it still shows 5, 10, and 15 for some reason. I'm not sure if it's bugged or not. As you can see, it's still 15%. So maybe it's just a typo thing. And it also still tells you that it causes slight dizziness while they actually removed the dizziness. But they also removed the thirst and the food cost from using these items. As you can see, they don't cost you like 30% food anymore, and which makes them really good to actually use in the middle of combat now, which is pretty good without having like to do a whole feast after you use an item, right? So it is really good. Also, they heal you instantly for a certain amount of health, like instant. You use them, you get an instant healing, right, without having to wait. So it is also pretty good there. All right. So the next thing is the NPC loadout rebalance. Pretty much higher ranks now actually use better caliber weapons. They don't use like small SMGs or whatever, or pistols or something, and they actually use AP ammo now, so armor piercing ammo. So just be careful a little bit when fighting higher ranks stalkers, right? Stalker population moved from 0.45 to 0.5 now, so there's a little bit more stalkers in the world, and they reduced the squad size, so you will find more stalkers individually, like maybe 1 or 2 squads, a squad of 2 stalkers only, more frequently, but the squad size is a little bit less, so you can only find like maybe like 2 or at maximum 3 stalkers per squad, right? So hopefully that makes sense. Now the base jam probability for guns, even if a gun is like 100%, right? As you can see right here, let me just turn off this. Even if a gun is 100%, it will still have a small chance of jamming, right? As you can see right here, right, as well. Also, like the degradation of the parts is now more streamlined, kind of like makes a little bit more sense, right? So that's also pretty good. And also the silencers increase the chance of jamming as well, right? So keep that in mind as well. And another thing is that the gun unjam animation interruption, it actually got kind of fixed. For me, it didn't really fix. As you can see right here, I can still just skip the unjam animation and shoot straight away, right? So I'm not sure if it's fixed or not, maybe because I'm using like the magazine mod, so maybe that kind of like bugs it out again. I'm not really sure, but this kind of changed a little bit as well. Now the next thing is the unusable parts handler. Basically, when you have a lot of parts that are under like the threshold of 50% for armor and 60% for weapon parts, it will, when you have them in your inventory and you actually talk to a trader, it will automatically put them into the sellable section. So for you to just click sell, and you can sell the unused parts that you're not gonna need. Now the next thing is the workshop optimization by Sirius. As you can see in these 2 previews, before, when you use a workshop, it takes like 4 seconds or 5 seconds, especially in the late game. It takes like up to 10 seconds to open the workshop and around like 8 seconds to like close it up. As you can see right here, it's 4 and 3, right? But now with the workshop optimization, it kind of integrates like your inventory with the workshop or something like that, so it doesn't trigger any delay. You can just open it and close it like really fast without having to wait, which is pretty good, right? So the next thing is the spawning shenanigans prevention by Qt. As you can see right here, pretty much when you transition to a new map, there's a lot of maps that have like spawns right as you transition, and they can kill you without you noticing, which is pretty unfair. Now you have a grace period, so it kind of like prevents those like unfair moments, right? Which is pretty good. The next thing is they removed the Mutant Arena from raw stock now, right? There is still the regular arena, it's still there, but the mutant one, when you fight mutants, it's now removed, as you can see right here. It's because of FPS boost and optimization as well. And to be fair, from these two comparisons, as you can see, from 66, 67 average FPS to around like 73, 74, and sometimes it goes up to 76, which is a pretty significant jump, like maybe like 6 or 7 FPS, right? Which is pretty cool. And for me, so that's like around a 10% or 11% FPS boost just from this removal. And it also gives you a pretty big hideout that you can use now, which is pretty good. I kind of like hit the stop sign, as you can see right here, and it kind of like jump scared me. I mean, you can visibly see it in my camera shake, right? I was jump scared. That was really scary. I love that bug. It's really unexpected, and it just jump scares the shit out of you, which is pretty cool. Now, the next thing is a reward for exploring Agroprom Underground. So if you look around, there's a little bit something, a surprise, kind of like a reward for you now there that you can find, which is pretty useful, especially in the early game. And speaking of undergrounds, there is some Miracle Machine fun things that's gonna happen in the Miracle Machine now. So you gotta be a little bit more careful when you go there. And if you pay it a visit a second time, you can actually find some really cool stuff as well there. So if you did it once, go back there again and see for yourself. It is pretty cool, right? Speaking of undergrounds, there's no more saves coming in the undergrounds now. So before you can save anywhere in the underground level, now it doesn't work anymore. You have to actually be just like the normal zones. You actually have to be next to a campfire now to actually save in the underground locations. So that's gonna make it a little bit hard. And there is no collisions for phantoms anymore, as you can see right here, before and after. Before, like, the phantoms kind of like trigger the weapon inertia, right, when they hit you, so you cannot shoot, right? And now it doesn't trigger that anymore. I kind of liked it before because it kind of like simulates your character being scared, so it kind of like does the weapon like that. So I kind of liked it before, but I mean, I don't really mind it. It's now fixed. A lot of people didn't like it, I think, so now they don't trigger the weapon inertia anymore, which is pretty cool. Or the weapon tilt, more like, I don't know, whatever. So the PPSH fixed stash drops, as you can see right here. I mean, you can find the PPSH in every single stash almost, which was kind of broken. Now it's a little bit more rare. You don't find it in every single stash. And speaking of the PPSH, it got the points from the new game's loadout increased from 400 points to 650 points now. So you cannot really do this type of loadout anymore. You have to find a new meta, which is I think this is the best that you can do right now. I'm not really sure, but this is what I kind of like found out to be really useful, right? Speaking of loadouts, the Mosin is now 800 points instead of 1050, and the K98 is also 750 points now. And the new shotgun, the pump shotgun that got added, which is the KSG-23, and the RSH-12 revolver as well, that shoots 12.7 by 55, pretty big caliber, right? And the shotgun, the new shotgun, it has now 11 ammo in the magazine, and it shoots the 23 by 55 by 75 ammo type, which is pretty powerful, all right? Speaking of guns and ammo, there's some ammo balance as well. I think like the 9x39 ammo has like the flatness or the distant shot, like a drop, kind of like fixed a little bit. The hydro shock ammo for the 45 went from like 64 to 60 damage only with increased price, so kind of like balance that ammo a little bit. The FMJ for like the 5.56 went from 27 AP to 29 AP now. So there's some stuff that happened in the ammo balancing, which is pretty cool as well. Let's move on to the vehicles which have been added to Jupiter and Zaton and the CMPP. So you will find vehicles now that you can use there, which is pretty good. And also in the vehicle side, they got their HP, their health kind of like increased, so they don't, you know, it's not a death sentence the moment you enter a vehicle anymore, which is pretty good. And the lights for the vehicle have been improved as well, which is pretty good, right? Speaking of maps and all that, there is also improvements in the measurement task where they send you to like kind of like scan some anomalies, some anomaly fields and all that. Before, it's only like a couple of spots like in the Red Forest maybe, and some other spots like very limited. Now there is way more maps that you can actually enable in the MCM to trigger those anomaly measurements now, which is pretty good. So you have way more variety in terms of maps for these types of tasks as well, right? So this is pretty much it for the important stuff. Now the things that are kind of like worth mentioning as well is the pulses have been improved, the pulse anomaly in the sky, right? Those weird things, they have been improved now to work a little bit better, which is pretty good. There's new knife reanimation, so when you use your knife now, it has a pretty cool slick animation, as you can see right here, right? You can kind of like does it like that, and the quick knife as well is pretty good, right? Look at that, right? It's pretty cool, right? The ending of the crash fix, kind of like of one of the main missions. If you know, there's an ending related to like DirectX 11 in one of the missions, and now it's fixed. It doesn't crash anymore, which is pretty good. Hopefully, I didn't test it, but hopefully it is true. All right. Meat spawning timer in tooltips. As you can see in these previews, now you know exactly when that piece of meat is going to spoil, so you can see that if you want, right? Very cool. Zaton repopulation. Zaton is a little bit empty before, now it has been repopulated to include a little bit more stalkers, so you will find it a little bit more lively, let's just say, all right? Now emissions, we have the crawl sounds that like kind of like happen as an emission kind of like detects and starts, right? Now they don't start before the emission, they start when the emission actually starts, so you don't have too much time to actually get to cover, so you really have to be careful and maybe carry with you like an antibiotic to kind of like survive the emissions if you don't have cover nearby, right? Now NPCs will have a little bit less shotguns because they used a lot of shotguns. Almost every NPC you find a shotgun in them, especially in the early game. Now they will include to have a little bit more SMGs instead, which is way better. More common HOA 20, which is one of my favorite guns in the game. As you can see, I'm actually using it right now, which is pretty cool, right? I love this gun, and now it's a little bit more common, so that's really good for me. What's not really good for me is that the USP Tactical 45 is going to be a little bit more rare, right? Which is also one of my favorite pistols, as you can see right here. So yeah, I mean, a take and a give, right? It is what it is, right? It's a really cool gun. It's gonna be a little bit more rare because it's pretty good. That's why, all right? So you can also now get the Monolith blade as a rare drop from Monolith members when you kill them, right? You can get that really cool, like this blade right here. Look at that. Oh my god, which is pretty cool, right? So the next thing is the no copyright mod for like the music and all that. It's gonna be off by default now, which is pretty good. There is better step sounds for the mutants now, so it's gonna be a little bit more audible. And the next thing is the no tinnitus sounds optional mod, that kind of like a controller sound, that annoying sound that he does. If you don't like that, now there's a mod that you can enable it in the mod organizer that removes that sound, which is pretty good. It's a skill issue, but you can do it. I'm just kidding, right? But you can do that, which is pretty good accessibility in my opinion. The next thing is the control 100 stat kind of like displayed. When you hit control, it displays like the full armor stats. It was bugged on radiation, as you can see right here. However, now, this is before, this is after. Now it actually portrays the correct resistance for the radiation, which is pretty good, so you actually know what that armor has as resistance for the radiation, which is pretty good, right? The next thing is the Fanatic Jellyfish Quest description fix. Basically, he used to tell new players to put the artifact jellyfish into a container, and in Gamma there's no more containers anymore because artifacts are not radioactive, so now he will not tell them that and confuse them, right? Which is pretty good. The next thing is the removed two-story NPCs repair and healing dialogues in the outskirts, right? There's two NPCs for the story that shouldn't have those dialogues. Now they don't have them, which is fixed. Pretty cool. The Saiga got a reanimation sprint animation patch as well. As you can see in these two previews, it is way more smooth and way better as well. And the last thing is the better MO2 disabled separator, and the end of mod list separator has been added as well to kind of like set up the end of the mod list so that the mods that you add on top of Gamma will not go into the disabled separator anymore, and you will spend like 30 minutes trying to find out which one is which, right? Which is kind of annoying a little bit. So yeah, I mean, this is pretty much it for the update of 0.9.4. Pretty good update, a lot of like cool new features, accessibility stuff, UI stuff, and all of that. It is a really, really huge update in my opinion, which is pretty good, right? So yeah, I mean, as usual, if you find this video helpful, please do make sure to subscribe and like it as well. It really does help out the channel. And check out other videos on your screen right here if you want. And yeah, keep an eye on the new player guide that I'm gonna do this week or next week if you are a new player. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. All right, as usual, good hunting, stalkers.